President Tinubu set to attend inauguration of John Mahama, President-elect of Ghana.
Federal government introduces initiatives designed to sustain food security.
INEC clarifies it's not contemplating destroying millions of uncollected permanent voters' cards.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss the gains in war against insecurity.
(2024) has been described as a good year for Nigeria's armed forces. Early in that year, an index on the military strength, with some other countries, put Nigeria as fourth.
In Africa, actually. And though the country was confronted with many security issues ranging from terrorism, kidnapping, oil theft, among others, there were many successes recorded in the area of security in Nigeria.
Yes, a combination of ground, sea and air forces jointly eliminated more than 1,000 known-to-be terrorist leaders, commanders and combatants, as well as more than 10,000 terrorists.
Indeed, and they also rescued more than 7,000 kidnapped victims. Troops also stopped illegal oil theft worth about $68 billion. That's huge, you know.
Exactly. They recovered thousands of weapons, ammunition, rifles, locally fabricated guns, Dane guns, pump-action guns, rounds of special ammo cartridges, assorted arms, and assorted ammunition. And
troops of Operation Hadarin Daji in the northwest worked tirelessly to create a safe security environment for agricultural activities and other forms of socio-economic activities in Kaduna, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, and Zamfara State, as well as Niger State.
Well, Nigeria has also finalized documentation to facilitate the extradition of Simon Ekpa from Finland, where he faces terrorism-related charges.
Now, the success of Nigerian troops comprising security and intelligence gave rise to rival clashes among the terrorist group, leading to the death of several terrorist commanders in battles for supremacy.
In all, Nigerian troops, including those in the Operation Well Stroke, Operation Hardin K in the northeast, Operation Safe Haven, Operation Well Punch, Operation Delta Safe in the Niger Delta, all joined forces to destabilize the safe havens of terrorists and criminals across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country.
And that is including the Operation Fansang. Hey, and let's also take some of the gains of the Nigerian police force. It arrested more than 30,000 suspected criminals, rescued more than 1,500 kidnapped victims, and recovered more than 1,900 firearms in 2024. The gains in the war against insecurity is our focus on Good Morning Nigeria today. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Jumwe Yusuf.
And I'm Yanray John. I join Jumwe to welcome you to the program. We're reaching you live on the network service of the NTA. And just so you know, you can't beat the rich.
No, you can't.
Yeah, in the course of the program, we would bring Chukudi on board and we'll talk about the papers. But for now, let's get all the highlights of the morning news. Ogo Chukuka Ona is our guide. Ogo, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ogo.
Morning.
Happy New Year. I've not seen you since last year.
Yes, that's true. Happy New Year. I hope you had a nice time.
Yeah, I did.
All right, good morning, Nigerians. President Bola Tinubu has received the Awujale of Ijebu-Land, Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetona, at his residence in Lagos. The Awujale is the paramount ruler of one of the major kingdoms in Ogun State. President Tinubu and the Awujale have demonstrated mutual love and respect for each other in their relationship spanning decades. The Awujale of Ijebuland was the first traditional ruler that President Tinubu visited just a few weeks after his inauguration in 2023. A group of traditional rulers from across Lagos State also visited the president. And now President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will depart Lagos today, that is Monday, January 6, for Accra, the capital of the Republic of Ghana, to attend the inauguration of President-elect John Dramani Mahama on January 7. Mahama, who served as the 12th president of Ghana between 2011 and 2017, was re-elected in December 2024. He will succeed President Nana Akufo-Addo. President Tinubu's trip to Accra is at the invitation of the president-elect who had visited the Nigerian leader earlier in December. Mahama and President Tinubu have a long-standing personal relationship, just like Nigeria and Ghana maintain a long-standing bilateral relationship. President Tinubu, as chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, will join other African leaders at the ceremony. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu and other senior government officials will accompany President Tinubu on the trip. INEC is not contemplating destroying more than 6 million uncollected permanent voters' cards, that is PVCs, going back to the 2015 voter registration. The Commission was reacting to a report by National Daily that there are plans to destroy the uncollected cards. The Commission, in a post via its verified X handle, called on the public to disregard the report. The federal government has introduced initiatives designed to improve and sustain food security across the nation. Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, stated as these initiatives will involve partnerships with financial institutions to offer support to smallholder farmers.
Cultivation period, drought-resistant crops, heat-resistant crops, and also do all year-round farming. This is something that we're looking into.
And now security. The Nigeria Police Force has refuted claims circulating on social media alleging the arrest of a Deputy Commissioner of Police in Kaduna for purportedly supplying firearms to bandits and kidnappers. A statement by the force stated that the allegations are false, baseless, and intended to mislead the public. The police says it remains committed to maintaining transparency and upholding the highest standards of integrity in their operations and advise the public to disregard such unfounded reports. And similarly, the police operatives attached to the Imo State Command have successfully rescued 4 kidnapped hostages in Umokani or Haji local government area of Imo State. Acting on a distress call, the operatives located the kidnappers' hideout and engaged them in a gun battle, neutralizing 2 suspects. The operation also led to the safe release of the victims and the recovery of arms and ammunition. Similarly, police operatives in Ebonyi State have arrested 17 suspects in Enohia, Item Village, Afikpo local government area for the gruesome murder of Uromchi Okorocha. The deceased was accused of alleged witchcraft and was lynched by an angry mob who took the laws into their hands. Despite police efforts to intervene, the mob had already killed and burnt Mr. Okorocha before the operatives arrived. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has condemned the act of jungle justice and urged citizens to report suspected crimes to the authorities rather than resorting to unlawful actions. And as the news highlights for now, Good Morning Nigeria will continue with Iyere and Jumai, but this will be after the break.
NTA say thank you to all our viewers. NTA say thank you. A good TV station means different things to different people. What made NTA stand out for you in 2024?
Babu shakka, babu wani gidan talabijin a ƙasar nan da ke nuna al'adu kamar yadda gidan talabijin na ƙasa wato NTA ke nunawa.
Kò sí ibikíbi tí ẹ wà ní orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà tí ẹ ò ti lè wo ilé-iṣẹ́ tẹlifíṣàn ìjọba àpapọ̀ NTA kétékété kódà tó fi dé abúlé wa.
Standard NTA Bacharoro. Okopa. Okadigunwa okoko now. NTA Kalisia Kali.
Strength, information, outstanding performance. NTA got the steez.
For decades, we've towered high with sponsors as partners and viewers as pillars. And as we bid 2024 farewell, we welcome you to a superlative 2025. Because at NTA, you can't beat the reach.
NTA say thank you.
Dear Santa, I have been a very good boy. Please, can I have a special breakfast for Christmas? And also, I want to put a smile on my mommy's face. It's Big Santa! Thank you, Big Santa.
Enjoy Christmas at its peak.
Hey Nigeria, ready to breathe cleaner air and save money? Let's talk about gas. Drive with CNG, the smart, cost-effective choice. Fill up for less and travel further. Save money, save the planet. Switch to LPG for cooking. It's cleaner, healthier, and better for environment. Say goodbye to smoke and eye problems. Do you know Nigeria is a gas nation ranked 9th globally with over 209 trillion cubic feet of gas reserve? Gas isn't just for cooking and driving. It powers industries too. Cleaner, cheaper, and more efficient. And the best part, conversion centers are popping up everywhere. It's never been easier to switch to gas. Join the cleaner energy revolution. Choose LPG for cooking and CNG for your vehicles. Clean energy for brighter future. This message is brought to you by the Office of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, supported by the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA.
The federal government of Nigeria warns vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables, and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipment will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
Hey Eve, come and see the cool sales in here. Everything's on discount.
Yeah, I saw it already. But you know what? I've been thinking we should focus more on making things than just buying stuff.
What? You mean we shouldn't go for these awesome...
No. Hear me out, Nkechi. We are always chasing after new toys, upgrading gadgets, and buying things we don't really need. But what if we use that money to create something special?
Like what?
Anything! Instead of getting another fancy pair of shoes, we could start our own cool business together.
You mean we should become entrepreneurs?
Exactly! We could use our smart thinking to make something awesome for people. We might even make a big difference in our neighborhood.
You know what? You're right. We can learn a lot about money too.
Awesome! Let's be the heroes of our own story. Together, we can make a big change and break free from just buying stuff all the time.
One right action can make a big difference, right?
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria. Up next is newspaper review.
All right, we have Chukudi Okoli Ogbaja with us now. Time to look at the papers. Chukudi, good to see you. Good morning.
See you as well. How are you doing?
Very well.
Good morning, Nyere.
Good morning,
Jumai.
No, good
How
morning.
now?
Fine.
You don't answer me that now.
Nah.
Good to see you, ladies.
See you.
Good morning.
All right, let's begin with the leadership this morning. Looking at what it offers on the front page, the lead stories only, and the boldest here says Cybercrime Act. Judges need training in technology to check abuses. That's according to stakeholders. The writers, NJC lawyers disagree on training module. There is always budget for training. That's according to the council. All of that on page 4. Away from that, above the masthead, I did not defect to PDP or any other party. That's coming from El Rufai. Page 6 has all that you need to know about that. And a very sad report here on page 4 of the leadership. The headline says, bandits kill Mieti Allah chairman in Katsina. Beside the picture story, we have 4 dead, many injured in Delta tanker explosion. Nasima laments economic hardship on private sector. That's on page 23. Terrorists scare farmers from harvest in Niger. That's on page 21. INEC denies plan to destroy 6 million uncollected PPCs. And very interesting caption here says CBN facilitates refund of 7.05 billion naira, $714,569 to bank customers. All right, so that's an interesting read there. Daily Trust is next. Daily Trust leads with 2 trillion naira power project stalled. Accountability, PPP, key to reform, according to experts. Above that, chicken sellers slash prices amidst low patronage. Details on page 78. And then we have new virus hits China, over 5,000 hospitalized in UK. That's on page 72. Of course, the picture of the president and the governor of Enugu is on almost all the papers this morning. That's also right here on the front page of Daily Trust. And then we have WAEC introduces reseat exams for candidates. What's that about? Page 6 has all the details. Drug trafficking. Saudi Arabia releases 3 Nigerian women after 10 months in jail. That's on page 8. And finally this morning on the front page of the Daily Trust, tax reforms is the kicker. Northern elders, Katsima, urge more consultations. That's on page 6.
Yes, let's quickly go to the Guardian newspaper. And above the masthead, we have Tinubu hails Mba for reposition Enugu for economic growth. Commissions multiple projects. If you remember, the president was on a one-day working visit to Enugu State last week. And just below the masthead, fresh agitation trails states poor execution of new minimum wage. It's on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. And at the side piece of the picture story, Peter Obi decries intimidation, insists on fighting for better Nigeria. Find details on page 7. Like we read, INEC denies plan to destroy 6 million unclaimed PVCs. Find the details on page 2. Going down the Guardian newspaper at the bottom plate, we have terrorists kill Mieti Allah chairman, 3 orders in Katsina. Details on page 38. Insurgencies, insecurity to end in 2025. That's coming from Chief of Defense Staff. It tells the personnel of the Nigerian Army. Details on page 9. Discos pay 137 billion naira to TCN amid persistent grid collapse. The bottom plate, 4 feared dead, property destroyed as petrol tanker explodes in Delta State. You find details on page 12. I see the picture story there. Minister of Works, Senator Dave Umahi, Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, Governor of Abia State, Dr. Alex Oti, President Bola Tinubu, and Governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Mba, during the President's state visit to Enugu and inauguration of multiple infrastructural projects executed by Governor Mba's administration at the weekend. Chukudi?
You would practically call him Ichie.
Ichie.
Bola Tinubu.
Yeah, he's a
He is APC.
And it sort of looks good in the
he is APC.
Ivory carrier, yes.
The governor is a PDP. There's a first trip really outside after the Lagos,
yes,
break and all that. And I find it very interesting. But on a very positive note, as a citizen of this country, as somebody who believes in democracy, and somebody who believes that after elections, governance must take over, the president's visit should not raise eyebrows at all. I really like it. Yeah. It's a good way of saying, hey, we are all under the same umbrella, which is what we should really...
He's the president of Nigeria.
Exactly. I like such expressions. Call it body language, whatever you want to call it. I am one of those who frown on the kind of language I hear when we're debating these tax reform bills and all that. People could really have a good cause for concern. But the language I hear does not quite ennoble,
Yeah,
so we have to really dwell on that, which would not sound divisive and segregationist or sectional. I like it when a man comes out and expresses Nigerianness.
That's why.
That's actually why I went into that.
That's why the president is a political strategist.
Oh, he is.
You can't take it away from him.
Give that to him.
Yes.
Give that to him. But as much as we applaud the fact that Tinubu is a tactician, we must never stop telling the president, you have to listen and listen and listen and listen. Yes. You don't get tired of listening because there's no way he's going to claim he knows it all, So let us all begin to think green, white, green all the time. And you'll find that we won't deviate too much from the central focus of that which will grow Nigeria.
Like we're discussing before the program started, the three of us there with the newscaster, we said, look, Nigeria is the most... I'm so proud to be a Nigerian.
No, it's a great...
Any place I go, I hold my head high and say, I am a Nigerian.
It's a great thing to be a Nigerian. Whatever you want, then go give you.
Last year, it was no grief for anybody.
Yes.
They were...
Day for who, day for you.
Day for who, day for you.
Exactly. It's a great country of
We have a slogan for every year. We have slogans for every year.
And everybody in this country is very important.
That
is one message I want Noah to keep on, harping on and all that. I said the other time, we were of the opinion, some of us, that without oil, this country, now hunger has stared us in the face, and we know where much of the food comes from.
We're looking outside the box.
It's a way of telling us, you are important, I'm important. Chukwudi is also important.
Of course.
Right. Talking about importance, I think customers are very important. And, a growing trend.
The customer is king.
King, yeah. A growing trend, and I'm glad that the CBN is trying to address it, is the deductions going on in bank accounts. Unauthorized. And... Anyways, the headline here says CBN facilitates refund of 7.05 billion naira. This is deductions in just 8 months.
Did you get any money?
They're yet to carry out the operation, but it's a plan.
Remember, there was accidental dispatch of money to accounts. I read up where they actually got legal backing to take those monies back. Could that be what you're talking about?
I'm just
dropping it for us to.
By the way, the credits that some people got that were not also authorized and all of that, I mean, that also needs to be investigated because there are reports in some quarters that some of those things may be deliberate and all of that. But that's not even the issue.
Let's not speculate.
Yeah. I'm saying that's why I said investigations need to go on. But the deductions, I'm sure you have witnessed this. I mean, you sleep, you wake up, 15 naira is gone, 17 naira is gone somewhere. I mean, all kinds of deductions.
If you're talking about the routine headache, which I call mischief, financial mischief, that we have been experiencing, that will not be today now. Many of those deductions, they actually drop your jaw. You don't know what they are really for.
Exactly.
That is the point.
In GT Bank, the moment you start transfer, they have deducted already. The moment you start transfer, you see an alert. They've deducted already.
No, it's actually pay as you go.
I don't understand. I don't understand which pay as you go. They should, what if the transfer doesn't go? they still have taken your money.
You know, at the end of the day, what aches some people is that the banks, which are supposed to be the powerhouse, creating the enabling environment for production, manufacture to go on,
and to make you feel safe is now.
Feel safe. They are not even loaning out monies for long-term things that will make Nigerians grow.
They are even afraid to put money in the bank now.
That is the point, you know. So we have to have a banking system that gives us that feeling that we have a consolidated, solid existence that we cannot be shaken by just a few vagaries or
exactly. You know, I'm glad that the CBN is doing this. They should also look at banks who no longer, you know, remit interest to people who have monies in their savings account. Only very few banks.
I got a little interest.
Well, it depends. Some banks
because my money does not last enough to attract interest. So I thought it was somebody's money they gave me.
And I wonder where this rumor, I should say, on INEC, you know, planning to destroy 6 million unclean PVC. Why do we just wake up in the morning and just concoct some lies and post it on social media?
Without denigrating our colleagues in the newsroom,
yes,
it's not every investigation that I take hook, line, and sinker. No,
with a pinch of salt.
There are some so-called investigations I take with a pinch of salt, because sometimes you see you have this feeling that a paper wants to sell. You know, you hardly hear them on the electronic. Some of these stories you're talking about.
They
are usually print, you know.
Anyways,
I must respect print people. I think they're deeper than us in terms of weightiness.
You know, sometimes.
Weight of knowledge.
Sometimes,
I think so.
You know, Chukwudi, I agree with you that, you know, people shouldn't just go to press when they do not have facts. But, you know, sometimes those kind of stories bring out the real stories. You know, like, I mean, what's happening?
I know you like people who cause trouble. Go on.
Don't mind that. And just inside the Guardian newspaper, vandals of Abuja highway sewage manhole covers arrested, says FCT. These people need to be...
How many of them were arrested?
I think...
When did that ugly phenomenon start?
I wonder.
Many people have fallen into those holes. And actually...
A lot of accidents have happened.
Severed very serious injury.
Yes.
And the most annoying thing, maybe it's the action man Wike now that is making this happen.
And that's what he said, but...
Otherwise, I can assure you, I can remind us that thing has been going on for so many years. And to get those covers out, the lid out, it takes a lot of activity. They are well, you know, welded onto the whatever superstructure carries them there. Yet people have time to take them away. In a place as open and metropolitan as Abuja.
Very sad.
That criminality has so many people contributing to it.
Very true.
That is my opinion.
I agree with you. But I want to find out what you think about this new policy or initiative by WAEC, the introduction of reseat exams for candidates. What it means is if you take the general exam, the normal exam, and you fill some papers, so you have between January and February of the following year to resit the papers you want that you didn't do well before the next general examination. Do you think it's a good way?
When you pass it, do you add that?
Yes, you add that.
That's,
so
you know,
that's how it's done in other climes.
Education should not be too discriminatory. That should not exclude some people deliberately. You are encouraged into further education, really.
Yes.
So if that is the purpose of it, I think I applaud it.
Yeah, I applaud
There is no such person as a dullard, really.
No.
Circumstance could deter the amount of knowledge you show and your ability or propensity to pass exams. So you plan for everybody.
Exam is not a determinant of intelligence, actually.
It becomes more inclusive. Yes, sometimes exam does not quite determine.
Because they can just cram it and give it back to you, back to sender.
Except when you're writing additional
maths. I wanted to say that those who don't know maths.
She must have a way of reminding me that I wrote mathematics 3 times and 4 times. Right?
Okay.
I didn't say failed it.
Okay, Chooks. Thank you so much on that note. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow.
Nigeria will be great.
So we'll take a break now. When we return, our conversation on the gains of security in Nigeria will begin. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree, we sway in colors, with undying demand. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we have more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, strengthening unity. We know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Peak Mini Bag fits your pocket. Contains the right nourishment you need for your breakfast. Creamy and tasty in your meal.
This Peak Mini is just my perfect size, filled with the right nutrients, just for me.
This Peak Mini dey sweet my belly. Who fit believe say me say fit do shakara with better enjoyment?
Enjoyment. Now this kind of breakfast I want the top now.
Enjoy the Peak Mini Bag. Breakfast for you.
Peak. Reach for your peak.
I think Amaka should just move out of the house. Yes.
No. Standing out of the house is not the right thing to do.
Oh, there you go again with your sentimental family stuff.
Baby, if our aim is to stop this affair, it is best achieved under our roof.
You do something terrible and you'll be acting innocent.
What are you going on about?
Don't ask me that question again. You couldn't even control yourself in the presence of our visitors.
What are you accusing me of, woman?
My son, I don't know how serious you are with my daughter, but there's something that needs to be done urgently before you move any further.
Anything, just anything, just say it. I'm ready to do anything.
There is a spell that needs to be removed.
A spell?
Family forever. The story of our lives.
Dear Santa, I have been a very good boy. Please, can I have a special breakfast for Christmas? And also, I want to put a smile on my mommy's face. It's Big Santa! Thank you, Big Santa.
Enjoy Christmas at its peak.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
You're welcome back, and you're still watching Good Morning Nigeria. And to begin our conversation this morning, let's take this background report.
The president is clear on his instructions on for us not to accept anyone that wants to disrupt the peace and tranquility of Nigeria.
Nigeria, no doubt, in the face of some challenges and uncertainties, but yet standing together with resilience and hopes materializing to reality. One of the challenges is insecurity. Successive administrations embarked on numerous efforts and strategies to nip the menace in the bud, as findings showed that Nigeria has been plagued by various security challenges for over a decade, including insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, and separatist agitations. Despite high expectations from successive administrations, the situation was believed to be deteriorated further, with increased kidnappings and ransom demands. Many citizens have been killed, many also abducted, with the situation attributed to several factors, including under-resourced and poorly equipped security forces, corruption, high unemployment, poverty, weak governance structures, and a lack of political will. However, Nigeria has made some progress in the war against insecurity, with both the military and police recording notable gains. The Nigerian military has been actively engaged in anti-terrorist operations in the northern part of the country, resulting in significant losses for terrorist groups. According to recent reports, troops have killed no fewer than 9,303 terrorists, arrested 6,998, and facilitated the surrender of 9,562 Boko Haram combatant fighters and their families. The Nigeria Police Force, on the other hand, has also been working to combat internal security. In Abia State, for instance, the police have been part of a combined security team that has reduced kidnapping and other violent crimes in the Umunochi local government area. The police have also been involved in efforts to tackle insecurity in other parts of the country. State governments have also been playing a crucial role in the war against insecurity, ranging from the launch of various operations like Operation Crush, a security initiative aimed at tackling kidnapping and other violent crimes. Overall, while there is still much work to be done to address insecurity in Nigeria, recent gains by the military, police and state governments offer some hope for a more secure future.
Many thanks, Timothy Yusuf, for that background report. Now time to introduce our guest who are already seated for the conversation. And it's a pleasure to have with us right here in the studio, Major General Emeka Onumajuru, Chief of Defense Training and Operations. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you
sir.
very much.
All right. Also here is Dr. Kabiru Adamu, Security Risk Management Expert. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you. Good morning.
And also joining us in the studio is CPDR Abibo, FSI, Commissioner of Police, the Nigerian Police Force Headquarters, Abuja Police Mobile Force. Thank you so much for joining us. And we also have joining us via Zoom in Bauchi, Dr. Yehuza Getsu. He's a security consultant, security intelligence and investigation expert, CEO, Director, Forest Criminality Intelligence Center for Security, Intelligence Research and Community-Driven Development, Abuja, and Managing Director, Eagle Integrated Security and Logistic Company Limited. Thank you so much for joining us on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you for having me, and good morning.
All right, so we'll begin the conversation now, and of course, would like to hear from Major General Emeka about his thoughts of what 2024 was like, you know, in terms of security across the country.
Thank you so very much for the opportunity to be on this program. And before I commence, I always want to thank our troops in the front line. It always gives them a good morale to hear that what they are doing is highly appreciated. I want to shout out to them to tell them to keep on pushing hard, and we'll clearly appreciate what they are doing. Now to your question, absolutely no doubt the security situation has improved. And if you look at across all the indices, over all the geopolitical zones, you agree with me that there has been some great leap. Of course, the challenges remain. There are still some challenges, but a lot of successes have been achieved. If we take the Northeast, for instance, in the Northeast, the capability of the adversaries, that is Boko Haram terrorists, ISWAP, has been greatly degraded. And the import of degrading them is that it's on the clear path of total defeat. So degrading the capability of the adversary is important, which we have achieved if we are to fully defeat the adversary. Now, if you also look at socioeconomic indices, you find out that the attacks on communities, the attack on security agencies have also reduced. And the reduction in the attack on communities is because their ability to confront the security forces have been reduced. Now, other indices like opening of roads, several roads in the northeast that before now wasn't really very safe have been opened up, both local roads and also international roads stretching from Maiduguri up to Cameroon. Those roads are all passable now. There are commercial activities. Also, markets have been opened, several markets that were closed before. If you look at the Baga fish market, for instance, it is the biggest freshwater fish market in the West African sub-region, and that has been opened. A lot of activity is going on there. IDPs too are being relocated thanks to the support of the Borno State government. Several IDPs have been successfully relocated to their communities. That is also a plus. In terms of farming activities, we all agree that this year's farming was a bumper harvest for most farmers. If you traveled through Christmas, I'm sure you would have had a testimony. And that was possible because troops were able to provide the needed support in terms of farm patrols, in terms of protecting cluster farms, and that increased the economic yield. And it's a good step towards ensuring food security that the government really wants. Northwest, almost the same scenarios. There is banditry, yes, but the leadership of the bandits, most of them have been eliminated. So many roads have been opened up. For instance, the Zaria, Funtua, Gusau road, that used to be a nightmare. I'm sure for the past 2 months, you haven't had anything. So the road is completely free for traffic. And of course, we have the challenge of the Lukawaras that just come on board. That too is also being faced head on. So the military have recorded a lot of progress. If you go to the south again, you find out that in the southeast too, several successes have been recorded. Before, the Monday sit-at-home was weaponized by IPOB. It was a critical weapon that they used to undermine governance, undermine socioeconomic activities, even undermine the ability of people to live their personal life. But right now, Monday sit-at-home is no more as effective as it is before. So states like Enugu is completely gone. It's still one or two few states, but the ability to reduce the impact of that sit-at-home have really enabled economic activities in the southeast.
So what do you think contributed to these key achievements you've been able to reel out this morning?
Well, first I will attribute that to the leadership of the service chiefs and the Chief of Defense Staffs. Leadership is key. The troops have been properly given the right directive and also the resources to work. That issue of resources is important. Mr. President, we'll have to acknowledge him, we'll have to thank him for the efforts he has made to make sure that the armed forces have the right to do the job. And once that right tool is available as it is, then it translates to successes on the ground. More platforms have been acquired, and that has really helped in ensuring that we're on top of the situation.
Indeed, they say security is everybody's business, and it's a multifaceted approach to security that is bringing out all these key achievements. Let me bring in the CP, Darren Ruben, into this conversation, Commissioner of Police, Police Mobile Force. The General has sort of reeled out the achievements of security forces in Nigeria in the past 1 year. And let's look at you being closest to the people, the performance of the police force in 2024. How has it been? What has been your achievements in the police?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you once again. Like the General observed, I don't want to go into what he has stated or repeat what he has said, but basically he has enunciated most of the achievements of the security forces, which, as you know, are joint operations. And at the front line, like he mentioned, in the northeast, northwest, where we have this hype in banditry vis-a-vis the terrorist activities, we're all operating together. So I don't want to go into those details. But having said that, I want to observe that in the year 2024, despite the security issues which have to do with combat operations, we also have another dimension of security which we think should be looked into. According to Robert McNamara, we have security and development as having a symbiotic relationship. In other words, not everything we use armed force. Not everything you use combat, whether in the military or in the police. There are some issues that have to do with developmental. And of recent, we've discovered that, especially in 2024, some of the issues we are having are no more combat issues, because these are issues that involve the killing of police officers, military officers, vis-a-vis the non-state actors. The recent development we're having is a stampede. We are all aware where in some 3 states, people who are trying to distribute palliatives, which is in good faith, and for those who are going to have doses because it was not properly organized, we have a couple of people who lost their lives. And it is the responsibility of police to protect lives and property. So whatever thing we fail to do or do not do adequately as to prevent the loss of lives is also insecurity. Against this backdrop, there is the need for the system, the political class, to come up with a program that will see the need for development, which will take care of socio-political and economic challenges. And that is the aspect I just want to add to what he has said as we look further to other things. So I don't want to go and review the achievement we've made vis-a-vis arrest, neutralization, and things like that. Because those things put together, especially those of Nigerians, are all Nigerians, whether they are non-state actors or they are security men.
What Nigerians need to know.
The achievements we've made?
Yes.
Regarding the people killed, the number of people. I don't want to give roller statistics.
No, you don't need to roll statistics. What has been the achievement of the police force in 2024 to combat criminality, terrorism, banditry? Because you are closest to the people, and the people, you are the first port of call.
Good.
When anything happens.
Good. Against this backdrop, I would like to let you know that in the year under review, which is 2024, yes, the Nigeria Police Force achieved major successes in tackling crime. Some of these were reported by the Inspector General of Police in his last interaction with commissioners of police at the end of the year, leading to the arrest of 30,313 suspects for serious crimes ranging from kidnapping, cultism, murder, rape, armed robbery, unlawful possession of firearms. In addition, we recovered 1,984 assorted firearms. By assorted firearms, you know what I mean, both locally made weapons as well as automatic weapons like AK-47 and so on, imported from outside. We also recovered 23,250 rounds of live ammunition, 1,438 stolen vehicles, and rescued 1,581 kidnapped victims. Regarding the fight against kidnapping, one of the notable achievements was the rescue of 1 Nigerian and 3 Indian nationals on June 30, 2024 in Ogun State. Despite being ambushed by our operatives by gunfire, the victims were safely rescued without any casualty.
Right.
So on the part of the victims.
Of course, you'd have more time, to tell us about, some of the successes by the Nigeria Police Force in 2024. Let's just quickly move on to Dr. Kabir Adamu now. You've listened to the Major General, you've listened to the Commissioner of Police, and away from listening to them, you know what's on ground. I mean, what happened in 2024 as regards security. So tell us, what's your assessment of the security situation in Nigeria all through the year 2024?
Thank you. Let me start by also commending all the security departments that we have in the country. About 29 of them were represented by 2 here, and they've all reeled out their achievements. The fact that the country's existence was not significantly threatened, and the fact that we celebrated a year, and not only celebrated a year, we're looking ahead into 2025. I think they deserve commendation. But there is a primary purpose of national security, which is stated in section 14, subsection 2 of our constitution. That is the protection of lives and property. If we're going to use metrics to measure the performance of all of these 29, then there is room for improvement. And I think the General actually spoke to that. Achievement has been made, but then there is significant room for improvement. As you know, I run a firm where we keep data of fatalities, abductions, and things like that. And we know that in 2024, more than 12,000 Nigerians have been killed. And so it's very difficult for me to completely clap my hands.
Killed under what circumstances?
Different circumstances. Non-state actors, I think the General mentioned them across the 6 geopolitical zones. We have different non-state actors that are challenging the supremacy of the use of force by the state for various reasons. Some of them for political reasons, some of them economic, others, just for the sake of what they are. The last time we counted these non-state actors, there were more than 36 of them across the different federations. And not to add the proliferation of state-level security structures that has been created by different states. Perhaps it's even important at this stage to mention to you that in the Northwest in particular, these state-level security creations are in themselves adding to the challenge in the country. So vigilantes have been created, and if you are going to speak to I'm going to use that ethnic group now because there's no really word for me to replace that. Any Fulani association, they will tell you that they are being targeted by these state-level security creations. The same thing is happening in Zamfara, Sokoto, and Kebbi. So it is the activities of these non-state actors, whether formally created at the state level or informal, that is mainly contributing to this number of deaths that we've seen in the country. And when I'm assessing national security, I would love to do it across the various levels, the strategic level, the operational level, and then the tactical level. A lot of what the General and the CP has mentioned are actually at the tactical level. At the operational level and perhaps even at the strategic level, there are issues that if we look closely at them, it can help improve national security. I'll give you an example. I'm not sure if within the remit of this conversation, but the National Security Council, in the whole of 2024, I think it sat down only once, where these are a forum where strategic security issues should have been discussed, so that direction is provided for the operational and then the tactical level. The essence of me saying this is so that we can improve in certain areas. If we can bring that number to, let's say, 100, I mean, we'll be happy, we'll celebrate. But that's not to say achievement has not been made. There has been significant achievements. Like the General mentioned, roads are now open in several parts of the northeast. In the northwest, traveling, for instance, from Abuja to Kaduna. In fact, I just came back from Kaduna. I went for a wedding. I didn't go with any armed escort. I went to Zaria and came back, in fact, on the same day. So there is improvement, but that does not completely eliminate the threats that are there. If we're going to completely eliminate those threats, we need to approach security from those levels. How do we strengthen coordination using strategic approaches at the operational level, at the tactical level? How do we do all of that? How do we make sure these 29 agencies that I mentioned are working together in synergy with the 3 C's of collaboration, coordination, and cooperation, so that those numbers are brought down to perhaps 100.
Talking about the numbers, I'm interested in that. You just gave us the number of deaths that your agency was able to put together. You were talking about those kidnapped and all of that. Give us the data.
So there are about 7,000 for 2004, and it's in that area that I'm very worried, in the area of abduction. Because we've seen an increase when we compare the figure for 2023, an increase of almost 30%, and majorly in the northwest of the country, majorly. The significant increase of about 80% is happening in northwest. And if earlier on, your reporter cited the survey that was done by MBS, irrespective of the deficiencies in that survey, it also pointed out to that fact that the northwest represents the hotbed for abduction within the country, where in places like Katsina, Zamfara, you are seeing an increase of mass abduction, where these non-state actors are able to go to communities and then pack people, and of course take them to usually ungoverned spaces, keep them there for a long time. That's not to say that our security agencies are not doing anything about it. They are. They've been rescuing these persons. They've been releasing them.
Do you have the number? Those rescued in 2024?
Rescue, I have it, but I don't have it on my head right now. Because our report will come out, I think, in about a week's time, and it would indicate clearly the number that has been rescued. But point I'm trying to make is the various instruments that we have for addressing some of the security elements. For example, the National Counterterrorism Strategy, the policy framework on countering violent CVE, countering violent extremism, and then the Terrorism Prohibition and Prevention Act 2022 as amended. They've provided certain things for ensuring that these things don't continue. So as an example, the funding for terrorism, we've not done so much in terms of addressing that funding. The shadow economy that exists for abduction, which was clearly indicated in that MBS report. I think about 2.something trillion naira. Again, I have my issues regarding that report, but at least it's a reference point for us. Now, imagine 2.2 trillion naira. That is more than the budget of almost all the northwestern states put together. And that's what that report is saying exists in that shadow economy. They are using it to acquire weapons. They are using it to buy influence and all of that. So going forward, those are the areas that I would humbly suggest to my co-discussants to start looking at. Again, national security has different levels: strategic, operational, tactical, and then several other geopolitical, environmental, and others. Some of them can be handled by them, but others are handled at a much higher level. If we don't stop the funding of these groups, non-state armed groups, their ability to recruit new members, their ability to indoctrinate, then it would be tantamount to using basket to fetch water. Because the more the military or the police kill them, the more they have the ability to recruit more members. And sadly, that is where we are at the moment. Again, I want to emphasize, I'm not in any way belittling the efforts of our security agents. They are doing amazing jobs. Operation Fansanyama was just recently introduced by the military to address the issue of banditry in the Northwest. It is commendable. Perhaps when we come to discuss that, I'll also give some recommendations on how to improve even the operational, some of the operations that the military is carrying out at the moment.
Dr. Kabir Adamu, thank you so much for your opening comment there. You've raised some issues actually that I believe they will be able to respond to. But now let's bring in Dr. Yahaya Gesu into this conversation with security expert. He's joining us via Zoom from Bauchi. You've listened to the conversation in the studio. Let's have your own opinion on the successes recorded so far in the security arena by the security forces, and what do you think should be done more to increase, to work on the successes and make sure that non-state actors do not succeed in whatever they are doing out there?
Good morning once again. Just before I continue, I think I need to make a correction. It's not Yahaya Geso, it's Yahuza Geso. Please correct it. First of all, I must to commend the Nigerian security agencies, all of them, because if anybody felt the security agencies are not doing anything, I always say that let's pray. Let his vehicle break down somewhere between Miringa, Boratei, Buniadi, Damaturu, or probably between Yimishkira to Shafa to Haul, Kojafa, Garkida, and the rest, or somewhere between Sokoto and Dogon Karfi, and so on down to Zaria, and so on and so forth. The security agencies have been doing very well, and they have been doing a very wonderful job, despite the fact that those challenges remain. We are not saying that they have been 100% doing very well. And at the same time, we are also employing them to do more, because there are a lot of other areas which need to be improved. So now, when we look at the gains or successes that have been recorded, I can say that it is vividly been very clear. The presence of the Minister of Defense, Malam Badr Abubakar, and that of Malam Bello Mutawalli, and that of the Minister of Security, Police, as well as the Minister of Interior, they have been going around, and wherever they go, as well as the Chief of Defense Staff himself, the advocacy is how to strengthen relationship between the military and the public, between the security agencies and the general public. Because no matter how capable the security agencies are, no matter how they have been provided with armament and technical capacity, operational capacity, tactical capacity, and whatever, if they cannot have the cooperation and support and that synergy between the public and the operations, definitely they are not going to do anything. Now, a part of the gains and part of the successes we recorded in the 2024, we can say that a lot of kingpins, that is the bandit heads, the kidnapping heads in the northwestern part of the country have been eliminated. And there are efforts also being made to push many of them to an area where they are no longer free. And that is one of the reasons why we have issues that have been discussed by the CFI and issues being discussed by the Major General, as well as our senior colleague, Malam Kabir Adamu, simply because a lot of them have been pushed to a certain logical conclusions in areas where they are no longer free to operate. And because of the level of cooperation and partnership between the security agencies and the public, it has improved in terms of generating intelligence and utilizing those intelligence. It is quite commendable. We must commend the security agencies for so doing, and we must also commend the public on the other hand. The Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Saad Abubakar, have done very well, as well as the Kuka of the Sokoto. They have been doing very well because Kuka have been advocating for the need to have support of the public, the security agencies, and which led the clarion call being made by Kuka and that of Sultan of Sokoto and many other distinguished personalities in the country have pushed many pastors in the churches and many imams during the sermons, as well as other public Islamic and Christian lectures, to have made a lot of calls to the public to provide required support needed for the operations by the military and all other security agencies. Yes, of course, there are challenges in terms of the operations of the Boko Haram in the northeastern part of the country, as well as the bandits and kidnapping activity in the northwestern part of the country. Looking at the, always my question has been, one, those who are criminalizing, who are terrorizing, who are conducting this abduction, who are challenging the those non-state actors in the northwestern part of the country, they are not unknown. They are known, and they can be profiled by polling units, they can be profiled by political watch, they can be profiled by local government, they can be profiled by state assembly, all the process of our leadership recruitment. We can profile them and they can be dealt with accordingly, and they can have a cordon. I am employing and I'm advocating for the military and all other security agencies to be more focused in terms of how they conduct their activities, because you can target these guys where they are. They are known, and they are operating within the radius of less than 40 to 70 kilometers of where they were born, of where they are living, and all the communities where they are terrorizing. The communities know them. More than 80% to 90% of them, they are known, and their locations is known, and their whereabouts is known, even though there is a lot of improvement, and part of the successes that has been recorded is the ability of the security agencies to apprehend and expose, ability of the public to expose a lot of informers, and ability of the security agencies to arrest them, only that those who have been arrested, we have not gotten any feedback. Because providing those feedback will help the community, will improve the participation, will improve the community-driven strategy, and will improve a kind of community ownership, and then will build the confidence and trust of the community in providing information and helping security agencies with intelligence and so on and so forth. And part of the successes also been recorded in the 2024 is the ability to kind of deal with those Lakurawa in the areas of Sokoto and Kebbi. But I still say the presence of Lakurawa is not only in Sokoto and Kebbi. They are also in Adamawa and Taraba. The security agencies need to sit to their responsibility. Those areas of Farang, those areas of Riba border between Nigeria and Cameroon, those areas of Wurokoki, and those areas within the areas of Farang, something needs to be done. And we also need to check the areas of Kalabari and that areas of also Mutumbiu as well as Gasol. Those areas need to be checked. There are a lot of activities, suspected activities of those Lakura, even though the behavioral perspective of how they operate and how they relate, and the behaviors whoever know. Because I said, and I'm repeating myself, Lakurawa is not a new emergence in 2024. Lakurawa is an activity that started since 2017, 2018. I conducted a survey, I conducted a research, and I know I must commend the security agencies for the push. But pushing them is not the solution. There is need to have an interagency or interstate or bilateral, improved bilateral coordination and improved bilateral mechanism. And at the same time, border community activities need to be improved. And at the same time, border community engagement. Those communities within the border of Niger Republic, Cameroon Republic, and Chad Republic need to be re-engaged. There is need to do a lot of work so that we can be able to manage those issues appropriately. And at the same time, there is improved in synergy. Working relationship between the security agencies have really improved. There is also improvement in terms of reaching out, distribution and redistribution of those distress call numbers. Because a lot of...
Thank you very much, Dr. Yahuza Getso. You have so much to say. Of course, we'll get back to you, for you to, tell us some of the things that you know as regards security. But let's get back here in the studio. That's because Major General Emeka Onomajuru needs to respond to some of the comments that have been made here. Dr. Kabiru Adamu, made mention of so many facts. 36 non-state actors, still practicing. Let's use operating. Okay, operating. In the country, despite the efforts of the military. We thought by now, some of these non-state actors should have gone into extinction. And then the Lakurawa group is also another, security issue that, a lot of people got to hear about in 2024. But Dr. Getso says it's been there since 2017. Tell us, why are these non-state actors disappearing, despite the efforts of the military?
Thank you very much. I think first I want to thank my colleagues for acknowledging that there has been a massive improvement in terms of security nationwide. That's the baseline. There has been a massive improvement. Is the job fully done? I wouldn't say so. There's still much more work to be done. But then we've built the base that will help us to achieve further success. Now, in terms of the numbers of non-state actors, good. When you talk about non-state actors, are they violent non-state actors? Or are they maybe civil society groups? So the clarification will need to be clearer when we're talking about the number of non-state actors, so that we don't just use the data that way. Now, if you are talking about the violent non-state actors like BHT, IPOB, Lakowaras, and all that, they have been tackled head-on by the military. Now, you must also realize that asymmetric threats are not like conventional threats that you can readily defeat and it goes away. Because most asymmetric threats are ideology-based. And because they are ideology-based, it takes a much longer time. And what are we doing about it? We'll have our DDR programs, which is Operation Safe Corridor. That is the key framework for non-kinetic operations. And the operation is recording quite a success. For instance, if you go to the DDR camp in Malam Sidi Gombe, we'll have about 1,000 inmates right now as BHT. They are being de-radicalized and they are being sent back to their locations. It has a multiplier effect. If you can get one ex-combatant fully radicalized and send him back, it has a multiplier effect. And we are also establishing another DDR camp in Gusau, Operation Safe Corridor Northwest. And the reason is, I'm sure you've been listening to the news in the past few weeks, a lot of bandits in the Kaduna area have agreed to lay down their arms. Now, if they lay down their arms, what happens? They need a place where they can be radicalized and then reintegrated into the society. That is why we are setting up Operation Safe Corridor Northwest, to be able to go into the fundamental reasons why these people take up arms. And that is also work in progress. So in terms of their ability to quickly disappear, it doesn't happen that way, because once that terrorism seed is sown globally, it takes quite some time before it's completely eliminated. So we are working on both the kinetic line and the non-kinetic line to be sure that we'll have the best approach to address this issue.
So do you agree with Dr. Adamu's submission that while the military tries to take out some members of these groups, others just come up, or there's a regeneration of members of this group? Is that what is likely happening and hindering the success?
No, it's not regeneration. I wouldn't want to use the word regeneration. You see, what we need to look at is what is appealing, what makes it appealing to them. He made a statement before that, I think it's my colleague. It's when you talk about security, if you're looking at human security too, you also need to look at the developmental aspect. What are those conditions that make these people to be prone to being radicalized? So you are looking at it in terms of a whole of society approach. For instance, addressing issues of development, addressing issues of governance, addressing issues of security. All those things must work in concert. It must be a whole of society approach to be able to make sure that the reason why people join this set, it's removed. That is removed. While you're doing that, the here and now, which is facing them militarily, is also given paramount so that the ordinary citizens can be able to go about their normal business. But in terms of the deep down situations, that's why we have the non-kinetic approach, and that is succeeding.
Well, you know,
Yes.
Major General, you see, the average Nigerian watching you at this point would expect that would have more success stories and not just, you know, say, well, we've gone some extent because of how much Nigeria budgets for security every year. It's always the highest. Well, this is 2025, 4.91 is what, I mean, it takes everything, you know. So is it that we should focus our energy on other areas of the economy, I mean, of the society, instead of the military in terms of budgeting, since it's not producing results?
When you talk about security, at times it's non-tangible. If there are no security, you won't wake up from your house, drive your car, and come to work. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not like a good that you can purchase and say, I have built 100 primary schools. You can't teach you have 100 primary schools. I have built 100 hospitals. You can't teach you can see 100 hospitals. No, security is not like that. It's a public good. You can't see it physically like that. But you can see that it enables you to do what you want to do. So when you say there is no security, if people are going about their normal business, it might not be 100%, but at least 98%. That means there is something that enables that to happen. If people are not attacked in their homes every night, there is something that enables that to happen. So that is the security. It's very visible. The fact that you are able.
Talking about community police, different perspectives. Of recent, they introduced what we call state police, which has been disputed by some state governors, talking about funding, therefore there shouldn't be state police. But let me not go to that. When we talk about community policing, let me take the example of we pursuing a suspect to the palace of an Oba in a Yoruba setting. They have palace guards, so you don't expect the police officers to move into that palace. You expect to interface with the palace guards to get that suspect back to you. That's the kind of synergy we expect, which is community policing. But sometimes when they
But have you been getting that kind of synergy between?
It has been there. We've had suspects we've arrested who are, should I say, military personnel, who are involved in one thing or the other. We interface with them, they will produce them to us. We've had instances we have issues to deal with university or schools, university authorities. We'll write letter to them, they'll get back to us. And there are issues we interface with communities, like some of these coastal states, you know, they are clustered. So you don't just move in vis-a-vis non-state actors like we mentioned. So we collaborate with them. Sometimes they get the suspects we want, hand them over to us. So basically, whatever we do, we partner with the communities, without which we can't get. First, we can't get boots on ground everywhere. Our number is limited, about 400,000 police officers. We can't police the whole nation. But with this partnership with the communities, the various people we have in the communities, we've been able to achieve the success we've gotten. So there's nothing we do without interfacing with other bodies. And these other bodies is what we refer to as communities.
All right. Are you aware that there's, Jimmy made mention of if you see something, you say something. Are you aware that there's this new saying that if you say something, you see something? Is the police doing something, about that, in a situation whereby people are now afraid to speak up? Because, like I said, they now say if you say something, you would see something. Are you aware of that? And then what's the police trying to do just to restore confidence in the people to give out information?
Yeah, I'm aware. Recently, I listened to an interview by the Commissioner of Police in Anambra State, where he was imploring members of the community, in other words, people from Anambra State, to partner with him. They say if they give out information to the police, sometimes they don't manage it well. And to that extent, if they see something, they don't say. But these are mere propaganda. When it affects them, they come to you. As I'm here, I've been receiving calls, I'm getting calls by virtue of my position, and I assist people, especially this festive period. Because of movement, they need escort, they need protection, they will reach you. But when it doesn't affect them, they say if you tell police that. So the policy, see something, say something is very important. It's key in whatever we do. Because if you don't say so, the police itself can't see everything everywhere. There's one program we saw on CNN recently where a Spider-Man, so to speak, climbed the wall to rescue a little child who was about to fall off the thing, and there, instantly the fire service of France, I think, gave that guy citizenship. Yes. He's a Malian also. You see, those ordinarily in Nigeria, I don't want to use Nigeria, but in some settings will now call the police, see that you engage with police that neighborhood. So,
anyways, is the police also trying to do something to restructure its operations? I asked that because of what you just said. You said a lot of people reach you if they need security escort and all of that. But of course, we know that not every Nigerian can reach you first. And then the average Nigerian, of course, even if they reach you, I mean, you won't assist them because, I mean, you need to have a certain status to command, you know, such kind of, you know, support from the police. What are you doing just so that the person on the street who has a security challenge? I mean, we hear cases of you call a police station, they ask you, they tell you they don't have fuel and all of that, and then you already talked about the number of personnel being limited, just to make sure that you restructure the way you operate, not just taking care of those who are wealthy, who are highly placed in society, but serve the average Nigerian who deserves to have security.
Yeah, we do. We protect both the low and the high, so to speak. Those people who you refer to as high place, probably VIPs, we have a special unit of the police, what we call the SPU, Special Protection Unit, where they pay to render such services. The reason is to discourage them looking for personnel like that. And the more you request, they increase the price so that we pull out men to protect the generality of the public. Recently, the Inspector General of Police directed that personnel attached to VIPs, particularly those who are not statutorily entitled, should be pulled out. And we've done something significant. And these men we pulled out have been, you know, distributed to the security of the nation, particularly the Northwest, where we have the Operation Fasanyama, which he just mentioned. Yes. Our men are currently on a joint operation in that regard. We also have the super highway between Badagry and Sokoto. We are constructing a good number of men. We are deploying there. Men we pulled out from, you know, quote-unquote VIPs. So we're also policing the neighborhood, the people, without which these movements across the states, like he mentioned, he just returned from Kaduna to Abuja without any escort. It is our men. Every day we move, cover that road, just to make sure that the gains we've made, we don't lose it. So we are there. We've reinforced the men, we've reinvigorated, and we've put in a lot of men in those operations. These are men pulled out from, so to speak, VIPs.
Okay, you know, that's very good, but like my colleague said, Nigerians need to be protected also. And you say you have only 400,000 policemen, and yes, about 400,000. We're still giving out to people, you know, as escorts when they are traveling. And Kabir Adamu has said that he traveled all the way to Zaria and the road is practically free. Now let's bring in Kabir Adamu into this conversation, Dr. Kabir Adamu. No country can operate in isolation when it comes to security. And 2024, we've seen some highs and lows, you know, in relationship with neighboring countries like Nigeria, Mali, and Burkina Faso. And we've had defense pacts with them, agreements with them. How do you think the withdrawal from ECOWAS will affect this pact, this defense pact we've had with them? Do you think there's going to be a problem because of the porosity of our borders? You know, it's like the Nigerian border is just walk in, walk out whenever you feel like. And the Lakurawa, you know, invasion into Kebbi, Zamfara, and Sokoto is raising a lot of concern for Nigerian authorities, especially in the security arena like you. So how will that affect our security pact with this country, and how would that affect our border, you know, coming into Nigeria and going out of Nigeria, and you know, stopping these terrorists from migrating from other countries into Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Jumai. Let me quickly use 1 minute to comment on the community policing question you asked my co-discussant. At the moment, the policy framework on community policing is the establishment of 2 levels: the community policing committees and then the recruitment of constabularies. We know that the Ministry of Police Affairs has done amazingly well in these 2 areas. But just like the Commissioner of Police mentioned earlier on, we need to speak to our political class. Under the immediate past government, I think there was an assumption that especially the constabularies that were recruited would be paid. And so the entire process was met by the usual, cronies that they infused into it. So that has affected the functionality of that process. For the community policing committees, in almost all the wards in the country, they've been recruited or they've been engaged, as it were. So I'm hoping that this is one area that, listening to the Inspector General of Police recently in a statement, I can't remember exactly where he said it, but he indicated that in 2025, community policing will be one of the focus of his administration. So I just thought I should mention this. We need to see a synergy between the political class and then these operational heads. If the ministry that is responsible for this have established the policy, then the rest is implementation. And I think as Nigerians, we need to embrace it. These community policing committees have representation from the society. Market women are there, and if you are a market woman, you know what is affecting you in the market. You can go to that committee, you can mention it, and then they will take it up. So it's a beautiful policy, and I must encourage that we implement it so that we can see an improvement in policing in simple terms. Now to your question regarding geopolitics, and in particular you referenced the Sahel, on how these three countries are pulling out of ECOWAS and the vulnerabilities that it would mean to Nigeria. We have just with one of those countries, Niger, a borderline of about 1,400 kilometers that is extremely vulnerable, and that these terrorists increasingly crisscross. At the beginning of the coup in July last year, when, to an extent for strategic purposes, the Nigerian government withdrew its troops from the border, mainly to protect itself, because yes, we said we were going to intervene there militarily. So it kind of attempted to protect itself, withdrew its troops to protect the capital. Gaps were created, and the bad guys exploited that gap. They used those border lines to crisscross, into and out of Nigeria. Before then, under the multinational joint task force, we had a agreement that could allow us to go into Niger. They could also come into Nigeria, I think by 30 kilometers or thereabout. I'm not sure where those agreements stand at the moment, but in summary, what I would say is that our relationship transcends any agreement. It is one of mutual survival. If there is insecurity in Niger, it will affect 7 states in Nigeria, all the way from Sokoto or Kebbi down to Borno. Likewise, if there is insecurity in northern Nigeria, it will affect Niger. So I'm hoping, especially given the recent statement by the junta leader in Niger, General Chani, that he takes a step back and recognizes that despite the rhetorics, mutual coexistence and mutual respect is the way to go. Yes, you can make political statements, but come down, especially as a military general, and realize the need to extend a handshake. And I must commend the Chief of Defense Staff. He went above politics, visited Niger, and to an extent reignited that partnership. Now, we don't know what happened between that visit and when General Chani made that statement.
Those allegations,
Those
yes.
allegations. So I think our foreign ministry would need to step up. Our intelligence agencies who also have that responsibility would need to step up to remind Niger of the need for mutual coexistence, irrespective of which path we decide to take. If you like, let him go to Russia. If you like, let him go to the US. And whatever other path we decide to take, at the end of the day, what matters is how we're able to cooperate together to protect our borders, so that our people in both countries now see improved security. From the strategic point of view, I'm also calling on the Office of the National Security Advisor to realize that the mechanism for achieving this improved national security lies in the kind of partnership we're able to establish, both locally and internationally. I saw an opportunity when Niger asked France to leave, its territory. I felt that as the regional hegemon, we could have stepped in. So it's still not too late. We can step in and occupy the spaces that have been left. Dangote, as an example, Dangote has gone as far as Angola. He's gone in several parts of the world. Our banks, UBA, they've gone in several parts of the world. So we need to start looking at those areas, economic areas, because once you can occupy the economic space, it allows you to do a lot. And Niger is a country that, yes, we can't step in from that point of view. So that once we do that, it will allow other things to take shape.
Okay.
Again, because it's a public space, I'm mindful of what I,
What
I
you say, yes,
but
yes.
it's important that we see Niger as not just a strategic partner, but a partner that to achieve our own security, they must have security. There was a time when in this country we did things that were, the way we handled Niger was the way the federal government will handle Sokoto State, as an example, because of that importance in terms of our relationship. Of course, the further you move into Mali, for instance, to Burkina Faso, places like Sudan too, I'm sure the general will agree with me when I say one of the hotbeds at the moment is Sudan, because of the proliferation of weapons in that country, some of which unfortunately are trickling down in Nigeria. So in essence, the relevance of geopolitics, especially if we do a concentric cycle and draw a line and say these countries within the Sahel that are close to us, that importance cannot be overemphasized.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Kabiru Adamu. Let's quickly get to Dr. Yahuza Getso now before we go on a break. Dr. Yahuza Getso, you spoke so much, in your opening comments, and you talked about the successes and the areas, that needs improvement. But, as an intelligence and investigation expert, what would you say is the missing link in dealing with these non-state actors completely?
There are 7 outline activities that need to be carried out in order to assist us to drive help at one. That is one. Secondly, we need to also maintain and sustain working relationship and improve synergy between our sister security agencies. Number 3, we need to also re-improve and reorganize and review the quality of partnership between the public and services to rebuild the confidence of the public in understanding that we have a kind of a solid partnership so that information flow will improve and then operational activity will also improve on the other hand. Number 4, we also need to revisit our inter-border, bilateral border relations, because that will help in revisiting and also strengthening how we conduct border patrol, what are the operations at the border, and how do we deal with immigration activities, and at the same time, how manage the issue of influx of the arms into Nigeria. Because those borders between Nigeria and Cameroon, Nigeria and Chad, Nigeria and Niger, is really becoming a big havoc. And we need to Nigerian government and Nigerians, because it is not only the responsibility of the government alone. We, the public, we must sit to our toes. We don't have any other countries than Nigeria. And those military and other security agencies, they are also human and they are doing their best. And they cannot be able to deliver without our support. So there is need to find a way of streamlining relationship between the public, especially the non-formal security sector, like vigilante and others, as well as the security operations, and also those states who have created their own security vigilance, like Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina. There are certain gaps that need to be revisited, and there are so many other issues that need to be taken into consideration. Because sometimes those guys are taking law into their hands, and that is provoking. And it's not really, to some extent, helping the citizens of those states in some, by the way. And number 5, there is need to find a way of recruiting volunteers. Probably, if we can recruit 100 per polling unit, used between the age of 17 to 22. They may not be incorporated into our security formations, but let them be recruited as volunteers, as community security volunteers. Let the old operatives operating within their community provide them with necessary skills and knowledge. 100 per polling unit. If you have 10 polling units in a political ward, 100 times 10 will give you 1,000. If you have 10 political wards in a local government, 1,000 times 10, it will give you 10,000. Let's practice this at least into 500 out of 773 local governments that we have in the country. And let's build their capacity in terms of intelligence, in terms of combat operations, in terms of managing issues, in terms of information generation, in terms of how to expose and how to even conduct a simple survey, and also on behavioral perspective. And number 6, there is need to issues. I keep saying that we know the criminals. We know who they are. We know where they are. There is need to refocus and reposition the strategy of which the security agencies are utilizing in managing, especially those in the northwestern part of the country. They are not faceless. We know them. They are not unknown. The communities know who they are. The religious leaders and those who are wanting need to be done according to either they are religious leaders, either they are political leaders, either they are political leaders, whosoever. Allegations and a lot of challenges on certain individuals. But yet, our judicial and security agencies are yet to deal with those guys. And even while they are being dealt with, we are not getting feedback. The community needs a feedback. But 6, have a strengthened monitoring, evaluation, and assessment that will hold those officers around those areas who are given responsibility to be accountable for the responsibility that they are being given. No divisional officer of the Nigerian police, no commanding officer or unit commander of the Nigerian army, or local security officer of the DSS, or commandant of the civil defense, or whatever of the immigration and other agencies, who is living in any local government or in any given community that don't know criminals and where they are. They are operating on the land and on our land. We know them, we know who they are, and we know where they are. They are not in any hideout. What we have in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria, most hard to reach and difficult. You can't tell me that any bandits.
We're taking a break. When we return, you'll be able to, round up your contribution. We'll take a break. When we return, the conversation continues. Don't go away.
Peak Mini Bag fits your pocket, contains the right nourishment you need for your breakfast, creamy and tasty in your meal.
This Peak Mini is just my perfect size, filled with the right nutrients, just for me.
This Peak Mini dey sweet my belly. Who fit believe say me sef fit do shakara with better enjoyment?
Enjoyment. Now this kind of breakfast I want the top now.
Enjoy the Peak Mini Bag, breakfast for you.
Peak, reach for your peak.
When we think about the digital economy, you can see it as the marketplace for digital goods and services. And increasingly, it's becoming a force to reckon with and an incredible contributor to economic growth, because we've seen the growth in technology and digital platforms. Technology has it really permeated every aspect of life and business, the way we live, the way we work. And when we talk about the digital economy, we're really talking about leveraging technology and digital platforms in a powerful way to drive growth, to drive solutions to problems, to drive applications, and to provide services.
The digital economy is something that has the potential to help Nigeria leapfrog a lot of its development challenges, right? Because think about what the mobile phone did for Nigeria years ago. That is the potential we have for digital, because it has a way of reducing the barriers to innovation. It has a way of being able to transform service delivery, whether it's government's delivery of services or whether it's services in the health system, where people can use digital to actually be able to see their patients better. But it takes a lot to realize that potential of digital. The first thing is like every other thing, there's an infrastructure you have to build to be able to make sure that digital economy can thrive. Think of something like, capturing that happens in Nigeria, right? Where you capture, people's biometric when they go for a driver's license, when they go for passports, and each of those are separate things. Largely a system where we're able to streamline that and actually have a platform that exchange biometric information that makes it easier for people to access passports, easier for people to register to vote. But today it's very tough, right? But those are basic infrastructure that needs to be invested in. A lot of it is through government and private sector collaborations to make it happen.
If we're looking to accelerate growth in the Nigerian space, we really need to look at enabling the digital economy. That includes providing digital infrastructure, connectivity, because that's the highway, like the highway that everything rides on. We need to think about digital capacity building in terms of the suppliers to the economy and also the consumers within the economy. So a robust digital literacy initiative. The good thing about technology is that, one, it helps you to transcend boundaries. Two, it creates a level playing field, really, because if you create a solution, a technology-based solution that is applicable in this environment, that same technology can be applicable, exported to other environments. And, technology platforms also help drive collaboration, right? When we're thinking about innovation, when we're thinking about business growth, collaboration is an important part of that. So when we think about the impacts with the rest of the world, we find that actually technology platforms are giving us an opportunity to engage more actively, to collaborate, to create partnerships, to even export our knowledge and services for people to engage with. All the great things I'm talking about technology and digital platforms, they need access, internet access, broadband access. So we need to make sure that access is more available and affordable for the average user.
The most important thing is to think about where you want to go as a country and actually what type of policies are going to help get you there. There are examples of countries who've been able to transform using digital, for example. There are very clear things those countries did to be able to make it happen. So a lot of this, the pathway to be able to solve these problems are not mysterious, right? It takes courage of the policymakers to be able to understudy some of these things and bring in the policies that work to be able to help them.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria, and our guests are still seated here in the studio. And let me come to Major General Onuma Juru. He's the Chief of Defense Training and Operations. We've heard the powerful statement made by the Chief of Defense Staff saying that insecurity will end in 2025 while he was talking to the personnel. And with a budget of 4.91 trillion, Nigerians are expecting that these words should be written in gold. 2024 is gone, 2025 is what we are looking at now, and we've seen a lot of videos of bandits parading their wealth, their ill-gotten wealth on air, on TikTok, on Facebook, and most times they cannot be located. And Nigerians are expecting that the use of technology should come into play with this amount of money that is budgeted for defense in Nigeria. What are we expecting in 2025? More successes, more achievements? Is that what we're looking at? Is the words of the CDS written in gold here?
Definitely the word of the CDS is written in gold. And that is the marching order he has given to troops across the nation. Just yesterday we came back from Jos Plateau. We went to see the troops in the Plateau. We went to see the troops in Southern Kaduna during the Christmas period. And that is a marching order, that this year will be the defining year, because we do appreciate and we remain most grateful to Mr. President for the efforts to properly equip the armed forces, and that will count. as said by the CDS, that would count. What we are doing is, on issues of technology, we've been able to establish joint intelligence fusion centers across all the joint operation areas. The whole idea is to be able to tap into the intelligence resources of the entire intelligence community, and also including the states and the locals, to be able to have actionable intelligence for troops to act on. That is already happening. It's happening in Fasanyama Northwest. It's happening in the Northeast. It's happening in the Southeast. And to some extent, they have been crucial to the successes we've achieved. If you go to the South-South, apart from the Joint Intelligence Fusion Center, he also established a joint monitoring team made up again of all security agencies. One thing about the CDS, he believes in multi-agency, whole-of-society approach to addressing issues of national security. And that's what we have been doing.
All right, Major General, you said the CDS has given marching orders to the troops. But are there challenges that these troops face, that they have faced so far? And, what's the, hierarchy of the military doing to ensure that they deal with some of these challenges so that the troops can deliver?
Well, when you talk about challenges, no military, you can quote me on this, no military all over the world works with 100% of its requirement. It's not possible for you to have 100% of everything you need to function. So if we agree that that is the baseline, then that means there are still be little challenges. But the main thing is, are you able to work with what you have? Because working with what you have is what is important, not wishful thinking. The money you talked about, the budgeting, is quite huge. But if you translate it to the cost of equipments, military equipments, you find out that it suddenly looks short, because most of these equipments are imported. And because they are imported, they are in foreign currency, so they also cost a lot. But the bottom line is that we are committed to working with what is available. Every military does that, working with what is available. So what we need to do is to be able to...
And from your own assessment, what is available? Is it adequate to deal with the non-state actors that we face in this country?
What is available is adequate for the military to function. Remember, the threats are not static. The threat situation for today, in the next 1 week, maybe the profile have changed. This morning we are talking about Lakowaras. Yes, they have been there since 2018, but they were passive. They were not active. And suddenly they are active. So that in itself have changed the dynamics. And if the dynamics is changed, it also have an impact on what is available and how it is being utilized. But suffice to say that what is available is enough for the troops to get the job done.
Okay. Let's bring your CP now into the CP, what are the challenges you face as the police as we go into 2025? What does the government need to do to ensure that you have almost everything at your disposal to fight insecurity within the country?
The question you're asking...
Say it. We have a listening president here.
Yes,
we have a listening president. He listens.
Well, this is a live program, okay?
Yes.
We have a listening president.
Yes.
The challenges we face, vis-a-vis equipment,
training and retraining,
retraining, and so on. I'm a mobile police officer. First and foremost, I need to be in a barrack to eat and go back to my barracks. We have, like you mentioned, community policing, civil police, conventional police that can live with members of the public. Sometimes we have mufti, they may not know them, or wear uniform just to control traffic. But when it comes to the strike force, like where I belong, like the Carabinieri we train with in Italy, we should be in barracks. We do not have. If we have, they are not adequate. In fact, I may say we do not have. So the challenges are just enormous. That brings us back to the issue I made reference to. The need to see this fight against insecurity from the perspective of armed force, to doing something about collective development, so that the catchment area for these miscreants will slow down. Otherwise, if it's just to hit, we do not have enough of what we need, particularly barracks to stay, hit, and come back.
And more personnel.
We need more of equipment these days. Personnel, to me, we have enough. Warfare today, combating crime today, doesn't require more of human boots on ground. Americans were fighting in
when
Iraq.
we have a population of 250
We have more than
million
enough.
Nigerians, and we have only
Technology.
400,000.
I'm telling you, we
When
have
you
more
use
than
technology.
enough. We have more than enough. Check out the conflict in Ukraine and Russia. Going by population, Russia outweighs, but Ukraine is able to hold them because of those columns that moved into invaded Ukraine in the initial stage. They use what they call them drones, lower moving drones to cut them down. So most of these people we are talking about in the ungoverned spaces, we use drones to confirm their locations and clean them up. Once we go there on foot, carrying rifle and engaging, we kill 15 of them, they kill 1 or 2 of us. Comparatively speaking, we damage more of them. But then we don't need to lose anybody. What I'm trying to talk is that we need a bit of equipment to handle these situations, stay in safe zones, confirm with their locations, and clean them up.
You have said, what maybe government needs to do to get the police on its feet. But what about the personnel themselves? Do you think that there's a form of reorientation that needs to take place? I mean, in how they deal with, I'm not talking about the criminals now, how they relate with, civil Nigerians, lawful Nigerians. Do you think that conversation needs to happen in 2025?
You remember the news that was just read, somebody that was, jungle justice in one state like that? Right?
Well, for me, I want to look at it from the angle of, accidental discharges, police brutality on innocent Nigerians and all of that. So, I mean, that conversation about, the Nigerian police, conducting themselves in a manner that, the lawful Nigerian sees the police as these are a friend.
As a friend.
Yes. I would say what you've seen is a significant improvement compared to the past, especially with the presence of the incumbent IG. His orientation, exposure from the academia, and so on. We enlighten our boys, we educate our boys. Some of them are incorrigible, but 1 or 2, and when one of those exceptions occur, we don't hide them. You're all aware, we will bring them out, expose them, and then put them where they belong. But generally, we carry out training and retraining, lecturing, teaching. Even from the way I'm speaking, that we are from that background to teach. In the next month, I'm going to train my commanders nationwide at our training school to give them this kind of orientation, to also cascade same to the boys at the lower level to see the needs. So these days, I think they're behaving better than what it used to be. But sometimes when they're in the sun morning till night, they are humans. And when some people go without gauging them, and there's a very certain behavior, but generally we teach them not to do that. They should be civil while being firm in their dealings.
Okay, you talk about being under the sun. Maybe we should get them umbrellas or something.
No, that's not what I mean. What I'm trying to talk is sometimes the length of work. Sometimes morning to because of the change of duty.
We work almost the same hours.
Air conditioning.
Yes, like when I'm closing from work around 1 a.m. at times, I went up. I said, I'm just closing from work myself.
See a studio now.
Exactly.
anyways, CP, let's get to Dr. Kabiru Adamu now. As we begin to round up the conversation, what would you want to see being done differently? I mean, doing the same thing the same way and expecting a different result, you know what to say. So, but tell us, in 2025, we want to see complete neutralization, or if you like, disappearance of some of these non-state actors. What should we be doing?
Like the CDS just said.
Well, we can't, like you rightly said, be doing the old thing and expect different results. We need to change our approach. Dr. Yehuda Geso did mention a couple of things, and so I'll pick on 1 or 2 to highlight them. Number 1 is we need to be accountable. Unfortunately, the security sector, in spite of the fact that there is no other sector that enjoys the amount of money that the security sector enjoys. No single sector, health, education, infrastructure, security enjoys the highest. Yet the level of accountability within the sector is lowest. And I say this with all sense of responsibility. So internally, I would recommend, and thank God I'm with the 2 of the most important in the country, I would recommend that they look at 2 of their departments, their audit departments, improve the capacity of the office audit department to carry out its functions. And this requires training. Train the officers there. The second one is the, I think, PRS, planning, statistics and researcher department. Those 2 departments, they also need to increase their capacity. Now, the PRS department will carry out M&E. As an example, Operation Fansanyama, the general is here. There's nothing wrong with coming up with a framework that would allow Nigerians to measure the performance of that operation. I don't want that operation to go down the lane of Operation Safe Haven in the Plateau and Southern Kaduna, and that of Operation Hadinka in Borno, that have been ongoing for more than a decade. And frankly, if you ask me, I don't know when those operations will end. And that's not the idea of those operations. They are meant to be stopgap operations that would manage the situation, then pull out and allow civil organizations like the police to continue with their usual work, or the barracks that exist in those locations to continue the operation. So we need to, the PRS department would need to be strengthened to occupy that role.
Okay.
Those are internal. Now for external, the National Assembly. We cannot end this conversation without mentioning the role of the National Assembly, its oversight functions. It is the National Assembly that passes the budget. They can see beyond any of us and say this is what that 4.9 trillion is meant for. Now, during the oversight work by the committees, they need to measure the performances of all of these organizations. All of them are within the executive arm of government. And the democratic governance that we know is meant to have checks and balances. So it is the work of the National Assembly to check the executive arm of government.
We need to quickly go.
Let me go to Yahuza now. Dr. Yahuza Getso, we're rounding up. We need your final words. What do you expect to see from the security apparatus in 2025? What do they need to do to ensure that Nigerians can go to sleep and sleep with both eyes closed?
More investment to technology, because if we will invest well into technology, we will be able to fish out and fast track those criminals wherever they are and deal with them decisively. Secondly, improvement in partnership between the civil organizations as well as the military organizations and other agencies to have improved synergy between formal and non-formal sector of the security. And at the same time, the total overhaul of Nigerian Vigilante Group, because Nigerian Vigilante Group have the presence in all the polling units, in all the political world, in all the local governments, and in all the states. So those Nigerian Vigilante Group and other civil structures that are available, the military and other security operatives need to employ them into their operations and need to rebuild their capacity and also need to streamline working relationship with them. And finally, to have a community-driven strategy in our security operatives that will make it community-initiated, community-driven, and community-owned. So there is need to improve on community ownership of the security so that rebuilding the confidence and trust of the public will help in harnessing the right intelligence for the right action and to the right agency and for the right procedure to be taken. I think I will take I rest my case here. I thank you very much for the opportunity given.
Dr. Yahuza Getso, security consultant, security intelligence and investigation expert, CEO, Director of Forest Criminality Intelligence Center for Security, Intelligence Research and Community-Driven Development, Abuja, and Managing Director, Eagle Integrated Security and Logistics Company Limited. Many thanks for being our guest. We do sincerely appreciate your insights on the program today.
Thank you.
All right. I would like to also appreciate our guest here, CP Dama Ruben Abibu, FSI, Commissioner of Police, the Nigeria Force Headquarters, and that's actually the Police Mobile Force. Many thanks for being our guest, and of course we hope that you continue to do the work, the good work that you're doing, and continue to keep Nigerians safe. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Kabiru Adamu, security risk management expert. I wanted to ask about the 29 agencies, if you think they should be reduced or increased, or if you think it's affecting the way, the security, is being done in the country. But I'm sure that's another conversation. Many thanks for joining us, Dr. Kabiru Adamu. We do appreciate you. Looking forward to seeing more of you in 2025.
My pleasure. Thank you for
All right. Major General Emeka Onumajiro, the Chief of Defense Training and Operations. It was a pleasure to have you again on the program. The first of 2025. We hope to have more of you, of course, as security improves and we continue to record successes on the field. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And of course, our love to the troops. Like you always say, we should always,
Thank you.
Appreciate them for the work that they're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. So that's Good Morning, Nigeria, this Monday. Many thanks for joining us. Remain tuned to the NTA. I'm Anne John.
And I am Jumai Yusuf. Do have a wonderful day.